I just finished Iron Gold, book 4 of the Red Rising saga, the startup of sort of a new arc, and I'm not sure I've been more hooked or compelled by an ending in this series, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this book was one of my favorites. Of the first 4 books, it was actually probably my least favorite so far, and I had some nerves going into this book because in my experience, after a pretty natural trilogy ends in what is a larger series that has its own individual trilogies within it, the start of the next one doesn't always go all that well. But those worries and those nerves were pretty quickly quelled, and I ended up enjoying this book quite a bit. If you've read Morningstar, you know that it ends on a bit more of a peaceful note than the other 2 books do. And despite that ending functioning as what could be a sign of newfound peace, we instead, going into book 4, see a reshaping of the wider conflict. And at the outset of book 4, we're introduced to Darrow, who's now in his 30s. War has been ongoing. He is tired, he is battered, hasn't seen his family and loved ones in a pretty long time, and we see the very unintended consequences of that strong sense of idealism that really carried Darrow through the first 3 books. And each novel that has been added to this series has further broadened, and Brown continues that, where he introduces new viewpoint characters, which felt very jarring because all of the first 3 books, every single page, every single minute we spent with Darrow. We have 3 new viewpoint characters added in this book: a war orphan turned revolutionary, a disgraced heir to a fallen gold house, and then a free red whose hard-earned peace has now been threatened by a criminal entanglement. I was pretty resistant to these new points of view in this book, but they ultimately succeed in bringing fresh emotional depth to this narrative, and definitely increase the political complexity when you see those unintended consequences I was talking about manifesting their influences on all different kinds of people in this world. And those shifting viewpoints really lets Pierce Brown explore the aftermath of this rebellion for those who have fought in the war, those who have lost at the hands of it, and those who were quote-unquote saved without consent, because let me tell you, things aren't going quite as well as they hoped. And yes, despite this being what seems to be the consensus last place book in the series so far, according to ratings across this series, I still really enjoyed it. The introduction of new perspectives, jarring, especially if you're reading these books in quick succession like I am, but I found myself growing more and more interested in these characters outside of Darrow, satisfyingly seeing them start to be fully realized and intertwine with one another. No doubt about it, Darrow is still the central figure of Iron Gold, but in Iron Gold his choices feel more controversial than ever, not just to me as I was reading, but it seems like to all the other characters in this universe. He starts to feel like just as much of a tragic figure as he does of an epic hero at its absolute heights. So while the pivots away from the first 3 books felt unwelcome at first to me, I was fully bought back in short time. So I am as excited as ever and anticipating what comes next in this series.